everybody, it's Luke over at Galaxy Tech Review, and today I've got Ghost Recon Wildlands on the MSI GT62VR with that GTX 1070. There are going to be some differences here, of course, between the GTX 1070 and the GTX 1060 that we reviewed on the Helios 300, and I'll get into those in a little bit. First, I want to direct you to the upper left-hand corner of the screen where you're going to see GPU temperature, frames per second, CPU temperature, and system RAM utilization so that you can keep an eye on those during gameplay. Let's take a look at settings here. If we go to options, we are going to go into video, and we're going to see that we're set at 1080p. We have VSync off, so you can see the true frame rate. Of course, that frame rate limit is also off, and it is at 60 hertz because that is the hertz of my built-in monitor. If we go into graphics, you're going to see we're on the very high preset here in the beginning. Now, you can play this on Ultra, and I'll go into exactly what the differences are when we get out of this menu. But for now, we're going to have this on very high because the frame rate on very high maintains that 60 plus frames per second average. And again, I'll touch base on that real quickly as we start some gameplay here. We've got about 69 to 72 frames per second right now in very high. And again, as I stated before, you can play this in Ultra, but you'll get high 40s to mid to high 50 frames per second average in Ultra. Now, when we played with the GTX 1060 that was in the Helios 300, we had to set everything to the high preset to maintain a 60 frames per second. And now that we have the GTX 1070 that we're utilizing, we can put this in very high preset and still maintain over 60 frames a second average. That Ultra preset is still a little bit too much even for the GTX 1070 laptop version. You're looking at something like a GTX 1080, or maybe you might be able to squeak it out with a GTX 1070 desktop version, but I doubt it. I have one on my PC and I've tested it out myself, so it's going to be pretty close. And besides those two cards, the GTX 1070 laptop and desktop version are so close in performance, under 10%, that you probably wouldn't either. So anyway, that is what we get with our very high preset. That's what we're playing right now, and as you can see, we're right about at that 60 to 65 frames per second mark, and the thermals are holding up okay at 76 degrees on the GPU and right around 80 degrees on the CPU. That's not too bad, considering that this particular game is a heavy CPU using game, so you're going to have those thermals cranked up a little bit more on this particular game because it does, we're deep into hyper-threading at this point at over 50% of CPU utilization, so it's something to remember. Using 8.1 or 8.2 gigabytes of system RAM, so over half of our system RAM is being utilized just by running the game. Again, another reason why 16 gigs of system RAM is a good idea on certain games like this one. So overall, very high preset, not Ultra. It will run Ultra if you're okay with a mid 40s to mid 50s as your average. If you want 60 frames per second, then you're going to want to do the very high preset. I'll let you guys check out the gameplay, and then I'll be back at the end.
Deploying drone. Got another tango. I got a third target. Don't Don't want to spook the target. Switch to suppressors. Got eyes on the target. Let's move.
Roger. I'm moving to position. Good to go. That guy's history. We're clear over here.
Got another tango. Tango number 3.
Relax. We're still Sicario over here, by the watchtower.
Te lo aseguro.
Coopere todo saldrá bien.
Cabrón.
Quédate quieto.
Looks like they're feeling froggy.
Here's the deal, asshole. You answer my questions, or I put a bullet in your gut and leave you to die in your own shit. ¿No entiendes?
Chill the fuck out, cabrón. What do you want?
Amaru, where can I find him?
You serious? That's what this is about? Sure thing.
He's at Atoya Farm.
Go on. Then you can see what we do to people who fuck with us. People like you.
Taking a shot.
Let's get moving. The cartel isn't gonna wait around for us to track down and rescue Amaru.
¿Qué chingados esperas? ¡A partir de la madre con todo! ¡Vamos a enseñarles quién manda! ¡Disparen!
coming this way. What do you want us to do?
Tango marked, but he's got a civilian nearby. Good shooting. Let's clean up and move on.
So there you go, that's Ghost Recon Wildlands on the MSI GT62VR with that GTX 1070. Plays very well in that very high preset. You can see we're averaging over 60 frames a second. Thermals are in check for the most part, 69 degrees on the GPU and 74 degrees on the CPU. Still using over half of the system RAM though, so be aware of that. Very CPU intensive game as well. This was Luke from Galaxy Tech Review. If you want to see any other games on this particular laptop or laptop GPU, then leave them in the comment section below. I'll get back to you guys as soon as possible. Remember to like, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe because that always helps me out. And I'll check you guys out on the next video.